Hey everyone, I have Joel Farrell back from Strive for 25 as one of my weekly guests. And today we're going to be talking about our best financial decisions we've ever made and also our worst financial decisions we've made. So welcome back, Joel.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh yeah, I love it, man. I love doing this, man. It's fun. And I love our off-camera talks before this too, man. It's some funny stuff and maybe we'll
Well,
record it one day and put it out there.
I mean, seriously, but I might have to charge you this because I had to go buy some armor because of all the Golden State Warriors jabs. I mean, I have to get suited up for these talks to make sure I'm ready to go in case you throw some javelins at me.
Well, it's easy. That's why. I mean, you're just a front runner and now they're not doing as well. So it's kind of easy to jab at you about it.
Oh, did you see one of my videos I put out there? Oh my, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I put a video out. It's called "No Boomer Left Behind," and I was talking about us old people, getting into social media and just doing it. And it makes me think of the Golden State Warriors because they just traded away young people to bring on Chris Paul, who's like 74 years old, and so it's like it's the Boomer team, the Boomers. They're not going to be left behind.
Yes. How old are you again?
40.
Oh, yeah, you're still young, man. I'm 47 already. All right. Well, let's get into the topic today because we are old, like you said, and we've made a lot of mistakes, and hopefully we've learned from it and made some better decisions after. But so, what would be maybe one of the worst financial decisions that you've made?
The worst is staying and keeping control of a rental that I just should not have done. And so this is a couple years back, and I had already built up a portfolio of some 4 units, a couple mixed use properties, a commercial property, the short term rental I haven't done in Destin. Like I'd already built some stuff up and whatnot, and all of it was managed by somebody else. But I had one rental that I kept and did it on my own, and it was a single family house, and it was my previous primary residence. And you know what, I just the cash flow wasn't great, but the equity capture was continuing to build up, and it was in a pretty good area in St. Louis. And you know what, I just because of just pure semantics, I don't want to get into the details of like what happened, but like didn't end well. Renter just stopped paying, and bogus stuff that they were claiming. And I spent a lot of money fixing stuff up on that property, a lot of money over 3 years, and it ended very very rough and poorly with some attorneys. And if I would have just handed it off to a property manager, maybe I would have spent more money on it. But man, all the headaches and the bullshit I had to deal with. Yeah, that was no fun. And I say that because like everybody's situation is going to be different. If you're just starting out, right, and it's important to learn the game, to learn the ins and outs of rental management, to be able to make sure that you know how to manage your manager. But I have twins at that time who were very, very young, 1 and 2 years old at the time, and job is crazy. Just didn't have time. I should have just I should have punted it and handed it off.
That is the worst financial decision you've made. Because I mean, to me, that seems like still, you had a rental property, you had this vision of growing something. So I mean, you must have made a lot of good decisions then, I think, if that's, your worst one. Like for me, it's really I was buying a lot of liabilities before assets, and part of that was just because I was super comfortable with where I was in life, and I didn't really see the vision or that bigger picture of financial freedom or generational wealth. I was just very complacent. Like I always tell people, the fire department's a great job, and I saw the pension, my health benefits, my medical benefits. I had a primary residence, and I was putting money into my retirement accounts, and I just thought, oh, I'm golden, and I'm gonna just coast along, and I was just buying. Like I tell people, my home gym, it was supposed to save me money. The thought process was I'm not going to have to go to the gym and I have to drive. I'm not going to pay a membership fee. And it got to a point where, okay, I have, one bar for this day and one bar for that day. And I have all these different exercise bars and equipment now. And I mean, I enjoy it. I like it. It is convenient, but like they talk about is, what's an asset and what's a liability. And for me, I was just, I hate to say it, but I was, in a sense, I was kind of living paycheck to paycheck. And that really, now that I look back on it, I mean, that really set me behind as far as, I always tell people I should easily be retired right now. Like, I mean, if I was doing things differently, I mean, I would easily be retired right now.
Do you think you mentioned living paycheck to paycheck back 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 that far in time? I mean, could you have done something differently? Could you have been cutting certain things out of your budget, or certain things that you could have, looking back, that you would have been able to do, or was it just other things
It,
happening? Or
it was more like I was, in a sense, I was paycheck to paycheck because I felt like, my mortgage is being paid, money's being put in my retirement account. I have this pension, should be waiting for me. A lot of my health, medical coverages are going to be covered. And I just was looking at it from a standpoint like, all right, I'm good. I'm in a great position, and I, I'm comfortable with where I'm at. And so it wasn't like in that traditional sense that someone is just, paycheck to paycheck because they're not making enough money, or whatnot. It was more just, I felt everything was being covered. Like I had everything taken care of. So I'm going to be buying these things like for my gym and whatnot. And so it's from that standpoint. So if I just saw money differently back then and realized like, hey, maybe I should be getting assets that could be buying my gym equipment for me, like that would have been a lot better. That would have made a lot more sense for me.
I love these conversations, because there's always the other side of the coin too. It's like, learning about your story and your scaling into the rentals in Pittsburgh, right? I mean, you got 14 fast. Like, how long from your first one to the 14th one? Like, how long did it take to get from 1 to 14 or 13, whatever the number is?
So that's another thing, we'll definitely touch on that on the next topic, but it was about a year and a half. So, and
Yeah.
I don't advise this for a lot of people, but like I said, I was putting money into retirement accounts. And when I looked over it, I was like, maybe, these don't grow as much as I thought they were going to grow. And, they're not providing me any benefit right now. And when I started to understand kind of how money works a little bit better, I kind of looked at it and like, what I think going into real estate or rental properties makes a lot more sense. And that's kind of why I went down the rabbit hole and decided to, pull my funds out. And so in a sense, that honestly can, like you're saying, there's two sides to the coin, right? That taking money out of my retirement accounts and investing in real estate somewhat is one of the best financial decisions I made, and somewhat of maybe one of the worst financial decisions I've made. So it kind of falls into both categories, and we can talk about that a little bit later
Cool.
too.
I guess the last thing I want to say on that is just that, like, going down that path and then get to the point where you realize, hey, I missed out on these opportunities that I could have been, buying assets sooner. I mean, I know for me personally, I have a similar type of mindset. Like, oh shit, I should have been doing this. Is like that pushed me to be even more passionate about going down the rabbit hole, like you said. So even if you aren't where you want to be, it doesn't mean you can't get to where you want to go.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think, a lot of it too is when you have a child, and that really kind of makes the world a little bit different. You see things differently. And, before that, I, was just doing things for myself and really wasn't looking at providing this foundation for my son or, future generations. And I think that really opens your eyes to really look at the future and what kind of financial foundation you're building.
Totally.
Yeah. So because you have twins, right?
Yeah. That'll be
Yeah.
4 next month. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm sure I only have one, and that opened my eyes a lot. And
Yeah.
you have twins, and I think even more so. That's you're like, okay, I gotta have maybe one home for him and one home for him. Oh, boys, right?
He was. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I gotta have one of
Yep.
each now or something. So, yeah, I bet it's a lot of fun, but it also puts a lot more stress on your plate trying to figure out how you're gonna provide for them as they get older.
Yeah, I mean, like for sure, less time, but like, okay, now you start to realize that the time I had before, man, I was just wasting it. Holy shit. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, wasting it watching the Warriors games probably, and trying to, you know,
Watching Steph Curry throw swishes from half court and then they lose.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, I always tell people I love Steph Curry. I think he's amazing, but you're in St. Louis. How can you be a Warriors fan?
I mean, the absolute best, like the biggest Warriors fan east of Tahoe. Like I have that award, the moniker. Yeah, best, most biggest fan east of Tahoe. I just love the way he plays. I love the way
Yeah.
he prepares, man. And his preparation is just second to none, and that's why one of the reasons why I love the guy.
Yeah. It's
Even though
funny.
he
I
doesn't
mean,
know it, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know that I love him, but I do.
well, yeah, that's funny though, because I was never really a Kobe fan when he was playing. But now when I kind of look back on his career and, he unfortunately passed and you kind of see a lot more things on him, I really, my whole view on him changed as far as a player. And I really kind of, like you're talking about, just that commitment and dedication and hard work. And
Yeah,
it really changed my view on him.
yeah, man. I could go on talking about this forever, but like seeing some of the clips of Jerry West talking to Shaq in like '96. I think that draft was '96, and Jerry West telling Shaq, "Hey, big fella, I got you. We got this 18-year-old kid, Kobe, and we'll wait till you see him." Like Jerry West knew before he stepped foot on the floor what he had. And that's the stuff that's just crazy. How you can see that, because there's so many busts that happen in the draft, every sport, right? And I think that was at like 7 or 15. I don't even know. I think it was like middle of the draft, like 15 or 13. I forget what it was.
Well,
Seven
they traded for him.
from Charlotte, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, they were the Hornets, I think, at that time. So yeah, they got him. I think like
Maybe it
like
was
nine or
7.
ten. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't super high in the draft, but yeah, they got him, and then the Lakers traded for him, and yeah, history from there. But all right, well, this has been fun, and then we will stop it here, and we'll come back. All right, thanks, Joel.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.